Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Sylvia and I make videos on planning with the occasional review. Planning has always been my way of working out problems and solving the day-to-day issues in my life. Join me as I experiment on how to best tackle projects, figure out how to stick with habit tracking, and celebrate the wins, both big and small. So grab a cup or a glass of whatevs and let's get on with the video. Hello planner friends! So, one book July. My July planner stack, mid-year planner lineup, mid-year reset, whatever you're calling this period in your life, let's get into it. Okay, so it is going to be July 2026 in case you're watching this in the future, and I'm already just, whatever. I'm going to be gone the last day of June and the first day of July, and I'm going to be traveling, so I'm going to be on the road. And that's already giving me some kind of stress because I like to start the beginning of the month fresh and, attack it. And I'm going to be on the road somewhere, so I can't. It is what it is. Okay, so all of the butterflies, let's get into it. So as far as what I've used in 2026, I started off strong with the Jibun Techo in B6 Slim. This is the days, and it looks like this. And it also has monthlies that look like this. It's a folio situation, so it allows you to put little companion notebooks and tuck them into the front and the back. And they do that by making them a little bit shorter and a little bit more narrow. So they tuck in nicey nice. And this is a very thick beast I'm trying to get used to. It used to come 6 months in one book and 6 months in the other. I wish they would go back, but it doesn't look like they are. I think they did this in order to compete with the Hobonichi Cousin, which you get the full year all in one place, which makes no kind of sense because they also have an Avec version, which gives you 2 books with 6 months in one and 6 months in the other. So I just wish they would have kept the old option and then made the new one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, whatever. All right, so I was in this and I was going strong and there was nothing wrong with it, but I started to journal in it at a time in my life when I really needed to carry that with me everywhere I went. Normally, I just have a notebook that I can journal in if I need to at home, but I was out of town with a family member in the hospital and that was working well. I didn't want to change it, so I just kept journaling in here. Well, I fell off. And so now I want to go back to One Book July and planning in here. So for those who aren't aware, One Book July was created by Carrie Harley and Romany from Romany's Realm. I haven't heard anything from them. I haven't really looked up much. I know that Carrie Harling hasn't put out a video in probably like 6 months, 4 months, something like that. But it was really a time in July when you want to sit down and 6 months of the year has gone by, 2 quarters of the year has passed, and you just kind of want to reflect and be like, what have I done over this last 6 months? What do I still want to accomplish in the last 2 quarters of the year? And having one book or one planner just to get back to basics and try to figure out what's working, what isn't, is a really nice way to reset. And I've decided that I'm going to be doing that in here in my Jibun Techo days, get back on it and make some planning videos for that. Now, I also have this, so technically, and if you've been following One Book July, they've changed the challenge or added things to the challenge slightly. You don't have to have one planner. It's just, again, a resetting thing. I have this separate planner that I ended up getting from Walmart because it had butterflies and I can't say no to butterflies, obviously. Obviously, it's a thing. This was under, I think, like $6 or at least $10. And I was using this separately for my writing planner and that has been working. It does not need to be fixed. It just stays at my desk where I write and I, write down things throughout the week if I need to plan ahead of time, and I just, keep my goals and milestones in here. And so that is separate for writing and I think of it as its own thing. For my main planning, I'm going to be keeping this. I, in the past, had this little companion notebook here, and I was taping in weeklies like this. And I actually really like that, and I think I'm going to go back to that. I still have a few days to decide, but I want to make sure that it's all said and done, because when I get off of the road, it'll already be, well, probably around midnight of July 1st. So it'll be July 2nd, and I want to just be able to start working in it right away and not have an excuse to start the day after. So I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to take some inserts, weekly inserts that I already have, size them down because they're actually standard size, and then tape them onto the pages. I'm not a fan of the tiny little notebook grid in here. I think it's like, I don't know, 3mm or something like that. It's teensy. I just wish it was bigger. So I do like taping in already dated and made planner inserts. In the back here, in the past, I have kept little lists for different projects. So this was the Da Vinci Code that I was rereading, and I was just breaking it down into sections. So once I had read section 1, I'd move it from one side to the other until it was all done. Stuff like that. That worked for a little bit, but it takes up a lot of sticky notes. And even though, you know, it's not that serious, I don't know that I'm a fan. I thought it would be fun to have kind of like a Kanban board in the back. Here, you can also have one on the wall, but I liked the idea of being able to have it with me and carrying it with me. So I might go back to a Kanban board situation. Another technique I like to use is the 10-day planning. I have a lot of videos on this. So this was the end of June. I went back to this. I felt like I had missed it a lot. Sometimes you don't need this. If you have a full-on planner, like if you wanted to just have like a notebook and you needed some kind of a calendar situation and you didn't want it to be extreme, you can have your next 10 days all on here scheduled out so you know what's coming up, and you can just pin this onto whatever page, especially if you're doing a bullet journal, you have some type of weekly view without having to draw one out. So I missed that. I did like that. I might be going back to that for the next 2 quarters of the year. I also have a Hobonichi weekly supplement. This is about as much of the Tomoe River paper I'm willing to plan on and use. It's beautiful paper. I'm a smudger and it drives me crazy. So you guys have seen this in the past. I just keep track of some things off to the side here and throughout the week. I don't use it the way it's meant to be used. Those rules aren't real. You can break them if you want to. So this is kind of like a, what's it called? It's a daily vertical. And I just don't like keeping my time in here like that. But if I wanted to at any moment, I could. There's weeks when I would fall off like this and I didn't use it as much, or this information went into like a planner or somewhere else and I wasn't writing in here. And that's okay. But I also like the idea of it being very thin and having your whole year of these habits all in one place. So sometimes when I fall off in writing in here, I get sad. A lot of times I can just go, like, let's say I wrote it in the planner in here, I can go through those days and then just fill out the week after the fact. So sometimes I plan in here and sometimes it's just recording what has actually happened. I used this in 2026 and I feel like this poor little passport traveler's notebook by Traveler's Company, I always use it at the wrong time. I want to use it when it's like heavy planning and there's no way I can put all of my planning into this tiny little situation. This is best for spring and for summertime. Of course, when summer comes around, I always find something else to do. Like I'm going to be doing one book, I think, in here. When I should be using this. This is the perfect time for using smaller little planners and notebooks. So this is also an option. We'll see how it goes. I think I might do a little bit of a setup in here just to see how it would even work. And, you know, compare it to this, because this doesn't change. It's already, you know, structured well enough that I know exactly how I'm going to use it. I usually like divide up, like, I don't know if you can see the pencils. There's a pencil mark up here and up here. I'll put quotes or some wordage and then some planning and then like little notes on the day at the bottom, and it works really nice. And again, I like it. I like the idea of having my entire year all in one place so I can flip through it, but I planner hop, which is why I only bought one planner this year until I got the planner for my writing. That one doesn't count because that's like a, what would I call that? More of a, like a project planner. I mean, I put a little bit of everything in here, but I just need a planner just for my writing projects alone because there's a lot of them and I like to just be able to write without having to censor myself. Whereas this that I show, sometimes I censor myself, or I don't even really need to, because it's just simple stuff that's just not that serious. It's like nothing I need to hide. And usually the little journal entry of the day at the bottom is just like a little trigger reminder of what happened. I also had an A6 for a little bit. So this is an A6 Moisture cover, and I was keeping 2 of these little notebooks that are less than $2 a piece at Walmart. They are fountain pen friendly. I first saw the video by Seaweed Kisses on these. I will flash what they're called on the screen, so I don't remember exactly what they're called. So I was using these mostly for like some light planning or brainstorming, thinking on the page kind of stuff. This one was actually for a while a food journal because they were inexpensive. I just needed a place to write down breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and mostly like the calories so that I could be aware. And this was really nice because they're so cheap and inexpensive. I didn't feel bad about, writing, really bad handwriting on here or anything like that. And this little Moitrim cover will hold 2 of these. So you can have different subjects if you want to, and it's just so nice and compact, and you can carry it with you. And so this size actually worked out a little bit more than this did. And I thought, man, I should have probably paid for some A6 like weekly inserts. Even though they were going to be for the traveler's notebook, I could still just, put a cover on them and slide it into here, and that would work just fine. So this is another option that I have. They're all really good options, but I'd like to just stick to one. And at the end of the day, as much as these are cute and small and you can carry all of them in one purse without them being too heavy, I still think that I would prefer to do this for my reset month. And it's a little bit different for me also because most people do like an annual calendar goals or resolutions. I don't do that. I actually use my birthday, which is June 21st, for my yearly goals. So it's like I turned 45, and so year 45, what are my goals for this year? That's the way it works for me. So this is technically not my mid-year setup. That happens for me more in January when everyone else is doing like their beginning of the year goals and resolutions, if that makes sense. But that works best for me. So yeah, I don't know. I kicked ass and I took names, especially with my writing projects for year 44. Yeah, so this is everything that I think I used. I don't know that there was anything else that I could think of off of the top of my head. I mostly, hold on, liked using little notebooks. So I also have this one that I am still currently using. And again, this sits at my desk where I am writing. So I was doing some like planning and stuff in here, checklists of, like this is just like all of the chapters I was reading and correcting and what days I was doing them for. And I was just writing them down, and that's all I needed to do. It didn't need anything else. And I didn't need to put that in an actual planner. And so these little task lists work really well for me. I did do some planning in this notebook a little bit where I made a line and a checklist, and these were things that I was doing and forwarding and stuff like that. And that was really nice. And this was all the planning I really needed. I didn't need an actual planner. I just needed somewhere to like check a box off at the end of the day. So this is something I also kind of continue. And again, usually this is writing, which is separate from my actual planning stuff. So like cleaning the house, organizing the outside before summer happened, like what we could start working on by taking down the old garden. And that required my partner to help because we needed to take out all of the fencing down and stuff like that. Removing a dead tree that finally fell down, I think maybe almost 2 years ago. And it was so huge, it required like a chainsaw, and I wasn't going to be able to do that. So he's been taking time to cut that down and then cut it into smaller wood. So it's just like stuff like that really goes in my big planner. Writing is always its own big project and separate. So again, this was my planner stack, my mid-year planning lineup, and my mid-year reset. Also, I guess, talking a little bit about how my goals actually start in June for my birthday year instead of like an annual calendar situation. Yeah, so this is everything. We'll see if I end up keeping this B6 cover, especially if I'm not going to do one book July and my, you know, getting back to basics in this Jibun Techo days. I don't know that I need this $50 cover if it's going to sit there. I tend to come back to my covers, so it's not that big of a deal if I do keep it. If you haven't seen this video, it's probably coming up. If you have, then you know what I'm talking about. I just wasn't sure if I was actually going to use this after all. All right, so that is everything. Tell me what you guys are using. Do you guys do birthday goals, or do you work with the annual calendar and do all of your resolutions and goals in January with everyone else? Again, that's like my actual mid-year reset. I'm probably gonna have to write down a note that I should do that in January for everyone and remind you guys how that works for me. Yeah, so we'll see. I have less than a week to decide on B6 Slim, A6, Passport, and these two are definitely going to be used and always at my desk. So these are the two that for sure will stay. These ones, I might try to give journaling a go in this if I don't use. I wish this size would work because it is darling. Look at that. It fits in the palm of your hand. Okay, not the palm of your hand, your whole hand. But it is adorable. And, you know, we're never going to get away from the butterflies. So there's that too. All right, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.